Hello again. Welcome back. And, trading recap for June 16th, 2025. We had, pretty crazy close to last week with the conflict in the Middle East. And that kind of spilled over into the start of the week here for the market this Monday. And, I did take my whiteboard and kind of transcribe it into a notepad. As you've seen in the last video, I'm like looking at this whiteboard the whole time, just kind of really relaying information. But we've got it here so you can kind of follow a little bit more in depth, and maybe I don't, miss anything as well, right? So, kind of how we're doing this is a morning watch list, morning trades, and then we're going to do that for our day and after hours as well, which is great. And then, to start off today is some continuation from last week, like I had forementioned, and that's going to be a lot to do with the Middle East, low float oil companies, shipping companies as well, specifically oceanic shipping companies like for not only oil, but also, just general natural resources, grain, coal, whatever, right? So, Ocean Pal is a company we seen yesterday kind of rip in to close and then just kind of fall off, right? But it did hold VWAP here, and then what an amazing gap up. Not right as market opened, right? So it did have some continuation within that volume. That reversal sets, pairing that with our key level breakout, which is the 200 exponential moving average, right? And it's just the rest is history, right? So if you're up early market this morning, this would have been 4 a.m. trading. Just absolutely beautiful to see that continuation, a little bit of volume, which it did get dwarfed, so you can't really tell. But if we go back here, you can see that you did have that volume before it was dwarfed. And then, that reversal that we're always talking about, it's going to be something I'm drive home over and over again with that key level breakout, and then, just wicked expansion off of that into some more consolidation, right? So we see it holding VWAP after that, and then always looking for a 5 a.m. Well, I guess it's 7 a.m. Eastern. I'll try to always use Eastern time. Looking for some flow, and then this was really nice into 7 a.m. We take that preemptive position about 15 minutes early here. We see it holding the 200 or the 21, holding the 21. So let's get in on the 21 and put our stop below, this swing low or the order block, and then try to scalp it up, right? And we get just that. A massive bar that totally clears our 1-to-1 risk reward and almost takes us to 2, which is pretty aggressive. We really like that. But at the end of the day, this isn't what the market picked for 7 a.m. Sometimes you can be right, sometimes you can be wrong. And this totally sells off at 7 as we see volume rotation hit. And then when other stocks flow, that won't. And then what we do see flowing is SONM. What time is this? 6:30. This is a little bit later in the day. So we get news here, and the news is a non-binding buyout offer at $3.60 per share cash, which is pretty good, right? So this stock's trading, at $1, and they're gonna buy it out for $3 a share. So you get this news pop, but it sells off really aggressively, but holds. It holds trend and then reclaims VWAP, and then continues to hold it, right? So the longer this holds VWAP and consolidates, the more we like it. We get in on this as close as we can to VWAP, right? Our stop is just under this swing low, and scalp it up. And then I actually, because I liked it quite a bit, and I wish I would have went in a little more. So we did a double trade on this one, adding to our position off this consolidation and secondary leg when it breaks, with a stop below it, right? So just kind of adding a little bit more. And we ended up getting a really nice 2-to-1 on the second trade here. But ultimately, closing this out, right, as we do break down over here. And you can see, why we put our stop loss here, acting as a sell side liquidity, if you will, or a supply zone. And just, put it under, and you got to make sure the wick closes underneath, and then you can see, where that happens, and then you do get an extended bleed down here. After market open, though, we did recover, holding the 200, right, with our reversal, which is pretty nice. Typically, you would play this reversal and scale out at VWAP, right, because it's going to reject at VWAP typically. But it actually broke through, which is aggressive, but ultimately couldn't hold to go for more. We had some other intraday runners that I guess apparently shined more than this, and they also didn't accept the offer. They just, just had the offer. They're not accepting it or anything, and it looked like it might show some hope later in the day after the secondary sell-off, reclaiming the 200. But after hours here does not look good. And, none of the market looks good, in fact, because we had a little bit of escalation, which I guess we'll review the SPY in the general market at the end of the video, maybe, if I remember. So that was Sonam Technologies with the bio offer, which is pretty cool. So we got a nice entry here, that we're kind of swinging. And we also had that additional scalp to it. So on the top chart, we have SVRE, which had some news, and they signed an agreement with the European agency for something. I don't know. Preliminary agreement with a leading European ADAS, whatever that means. But, we see it hit, right? We get that news. We get the retracement. We recover VWAP. We consolidate and hold. We expand outwards. So it's the exact same pattern that we just looked at on Sonam, right? And this is, something that you're going to see over and over again with these news plays. You get the initial news pop, breaks down, and then recovers, holds, and expands, right? News is realized. And you think I'm looking at the same chart. These are different stocks, right? So Saver 1 on the top, Sonam on the bottom. Literally the exact same thing. News pop, breaks down, recovers, consolidates, and holds, and then expands, right? So really, really nice. And we actually got a great trade here, locking in a 2-to-1 risk here. Actually, that's a 3-to-1 because this bar was so aggressive, which is fantastic, right? So just entering above VWAP, stop loss below the consolidation, right? We see this low, put our stop below those two lows. And then, we hit our 1-to-1 risk reward, scale out 80, and then, take the rest as those runners to confirm them. Of course, when your trade does break down, you close your runners at break even, right? Once you've scaled out, close your runners at break even. Don't want to have a green trade turn red ever. So this was nice, just a cool news pop play. I love to have a catalyst with the trades. Typically, it's a little bit more sustenance. Then we have KTLO, which is the mouse play. Was this on the top or bottom? Top. So this was a previous runner. The other day, this company had news that they could increase the lifespan of mice by 30 to 40% or something, and it went from 20 cents all the way to $4. So a known runner has a lot of room in it. Then we checked them out today. They eliminated, they raised $11 million. They retired all their debt, and though they exceed the equity requirements for NASDAQ, so they can stay listed, which is important, if you want to continue to trade and be a successful company. I guess, right? So we like it because of the past news. And then the new news hits saying that they got rid of their debt. This is fantastic, right? So I'm a little late to this, checking other things, but we do get in on it. Chasing this. Honestly, I chased this. We chased this with profits from our earlier trades, right? Just getting in on this, starting to scale out at the gap. Because we chased it, we have to get out early and the bottom bands of gaps are just like VWAP, right? Where you're going to reject them. If you're underneath and you get to it, you're going to 8 out of 10 times reject. So scale out there. Even if you don't get your 1-to-1, scale out at this bottom band of the daily gap. And of course, if it holds, then, that's going to be support instead of resistance. So really nice, but ultimately it did sell off into consolidation as we had some daily runners kind of take the spotlight away from our morning runners, right? So we get into our daily watch list here. Now, I didn't trade a lot during the regular trading hours today because we did so well in the morning session. We went 4 for 4, which is great, and then we actually got one more to open up the day, which is great as well. BATL was the one we did take. Here, right in the morning. Nothing was flowing. The only thing that was not selling off this morning was this. So we like it. We take it in anticipation of the reversal, right? We don't really see it, but you can tell that this is going to reverse. So we get in on anticipation of that, just a tiny bit early, but you can see that it doesn't really even make a difference. You could have waited and just got in on the retracement, right? So literally didn't matter. But we scale out, right, at the 200, just like we would with VWAP, and that's coincidentally our 1-to-1 here, which is nice at the bottom of the 200. And then we do get that 2-to-1 risk reward as well, which is great to scale out even further. And then in a perfect world, this trade continues. Maybe it retests the 200 and then goes up and tests a VWAP and rejects there. And in an even more perfect world, then it breaks VWAP and runs all day, right? But, we don't know that. That's why we play the setups and the reversals, and we get what we can out of it. We scale out, we protect ourselves, and if it goes for the day, that's fantastic. So this was our one trade in the morning because we had such a good early session, and I wake up early. Early bird gets the worm. We're looking at everything, the scanners, accumulating that watch list, and then looking for trade setups as well, right? Aside from that, the morning watch list I didn't talk about that we should mention as well. Now, these are trades I didn't take. No, we did take OP and we broke that trade down, but there was a DWSN that we didn't take and a TMDE that we didn't take this morning. So let's just review those really quick. There were no news on these plays, but it ran like crazy. This was like, I wasn't chasing it because there's no news, there's no catalyst, and it's running so hard. I don't want to buy the top. I'm not participating in a lot of these. But you can see, just must have clicked up last night. Someone's preloading here. Someone knows something. And then just as soon as the market opens, it's going. And it's going. And then holds, but breaks down a little bit here. But just like what a run. In like 9 minutes, this did 1,000%, which is insane. If we go to price range, 600%. Not quite 1,000. If you count from, I guess, the where it closed, it might be. Yeah. So from yesterday to literally early this morning, 1,000%. So someone knew something. Everybody else who got the inside information still got nearly 700. But we seen this like early. Well, just wasn't willing to chase it. There's no news, and it just kept going up and going up in just like a matter of minutes. Like this is 5, and this is 5:07. That's 7 minutes. So add a couple more. It's like less than 10 minutes for 7. Crazy. But you chase it, you get burned, right? And then, we've been around long enough that we know that this isn't correct. There's no catalyst to support this move. Don't even try because oh no, right? It's one thing to gain 700%, but it's one thing completely different to lose. What is this, like 99%? No, probably not. Close enough though. 80%. That's brutal, right? That is aggressively bad. So that was this morning's watch list. Obviously, it didn't really turn into much, but what an aggressive run. Um, and then we also seen TMDE, oil and gas sector for both of these, which is probably why they're running low float, oil and gas sector, high relative volume, right? But the same thing, an aggressive spike up, holds trend, reclaims, expands upwards, but because there's no news, it's immediately selling off because what a gigantic move. This is 250% on no substance at all other than war rumors. So massive sell off, but we do see some more of that coming through tonight. Donald Trump, did a couple tweets asking for the evacuation of Tehran, which is maybe not great, and is going to continue to drive volatility in the oil and gas sector and broader market as a whole. So that was our morning watch list, and then the rest of the afternoon watch list. Because even though we're not taking more trades, we're still watching the market. All the time, just being aware of what's happening is going to be really important. So SBET had news the other day where they bought a bunch of Ethereum, which obviously the market didn't respond well to. And a lot of these companies, when they start a crypto treasury, they have to do some form of dilution in order to raise the capital to purchase the crypto, right? So you see that massive sell-off. But now they're, number one Ethereum treasury as a public trading company. So that's something, and it kind of responds well today after the sell-off here on SBET. Then we have CRML. Newsplay, they're going to secure $120 million from the Bank of the United States for some rare earth metals in Greenland. This is just taken up all day. Only 25 million market cap, so we could see this become a multi-day runner because that's a massive chunk of cash to an itty-bitty company, right? 120 million to a 25 million company, right? That's multiples of its entire market cap, which is aggressive. Then BATL, we talked about that. That didn't have any news either, just oil and gas theme, low float, high relative volume. Same pattern all the time with me. SRM was pretty cool today as well. This morning, and sometimes I should chase these when I don't. So an immediate gap up, right? And it's like, okay, that's cool. Breaks down, but holds the 50 exponential moving average, reclaims VWAP, breaks down again and loses it, right? This is looking pretty grim here. I would not be in this trade. It's one thing to be in this trade and be like, okay, my stop's under the 50. Here your stop is got to be under the 200 from the VWAP. That is way too large to be playing. So it's aggressive, but it does reverse. It does reclaim, reverse, and then claim the VWAP again, which is our key level breakout, pairing with the reversal signal. Expansion up, continues to hold the 50, right? Continues to hold that. And, wow, that's all I have to say. So this was absolutely crazy today. SRM Entertainment. What is this? 550%. Isn't that something? Newsplay, though, they're going to launch a Tron treasury with the founder of Tron, which is what makes it so bullish. It's not just some random Tron treasury, and I don't even know. Tron's not even that's not even a major crypto, is it? But the founder of it, I think, really brings a lot to that. We've seen that in another company a couple of weeks ago where it was the Ethereum founder joined the board of some company, and it just exploded off of that. And I think that really is the key to it, is an insider from the industry to be involved with your treasury. So that was SRM. Definitely kind of watch this for continuation as well as we do with all plays that run the day before. And then our after hours watch list, INEO, BINGEO. No news. This is a smaller or newer stock recovering off early sell-off, right? So if we go over one day here, I always try to figure out why is the stock running. We got to figure this out. So it's only been out since November, right? Sold off. broke down and sold off really aggressively here. But has kind of been recovering, right? Like you kind of can see like a bit of an uptrend here, a little bit higher lows coming in, and these a little bit of higher highs coming in as well. It looks like here a little bit. So we'll see. It could come back, and it's been beat down. But at the end of the day, no news. Not sold on it. Rely has some news for us today, which is actually substantial. An S1 withdrawal. So that's like an offering withdrawal, which can be bullish. Typically, when a company offers shares, it's super bearish. So the stock gets beat down because of that, which might have even just been here. I don't know. I don't know when the S1 is from. But tomorrow we're going to watch this. And if they have news, if they have a catalyst and they withdrew their offering, it can be really explosive because lots of times short side will enter on an offering. It's free gains basically, and just take that. But if they pull the offering and then they have a bullish catalyst, now you can kind of squeeze those shorts a little bit, and hopefully that can cascade upwards some amount, and grab some liquidity up here potentially. So we'll see how that pans out for us tomorrow. TDTH. XRP Treasury last week. So this isn't new news, but you can see that we're going to do the Treasury. Massive sell-off because it's actually just dilution. But it's recovering, right? It's recovering. So we'll see how that pans out into the future. Maybe we can add it to like some form of crypto watch list or like Treasury watch list. Maybe that's something that we take into account because definitely a theme for this spring/summer so far. Then BGSF. Next on our hit list here. It's just popped up after hours, sold off, but it's holding. It's going to hold the 50 and 21 here. Definitely trading at a premium to the 200, right? But still kind of using that trend, right? So we'll see how it plays out tomorrow. Newsplay announces definitive agreement for something to acquire its professional division for $99 million, right? So selling some assets of theirs for some dollars, and the market cap here is 72. So maybe there's some room for there. I don't really know what their debt looks like. I've not checked out any of that. So they could have some liabilities that we don't know about that'll need to be covered in that won't drive the market cap to a premium. But again, it's a watch list for tomorrow. We'll check it out and kind of see how it goes out in the morning. And then finally, Ciro is popping up, but definitely selling off here. That kind of looks terrible now that it's closed. But so this is post reverse split, 52-week low. Could just be a pop, maybe more than a pop. Sometimes 52-week lows are juicy, specifically after a reverse split. We'll see how it goes. We'll see. Looks pretty terrible today, though. Maybe tomorrow it catches some volume, pops up on the scanners. Maybe it has a nice trend, and we can enter from there, right? Aside from that, we just have the Middle Eastern thing popping off. The low float oil companies, we talked about this in our last video or two at this point. Getting the job done immediately. Indo, Husa, to name a few of them. Like if we just go down to our hydrocarbons, I'm sure you'll see GBR seems to be a nice one as well. This was up all day. Oh no, that's just terrible. Yeah, beat down today though. So it's because it's a smaller company, a low market cap, it's easy to move the stock with in the order book with the buys and the sells. So easy come, easy go, right? Like we did see this the other day off the the weekend. Then we had the war news happen, and it just gapped up insane, right? Because there was some suspicion, right? Nice volume, and then sell off, and then over because I think this was Thursday. No, this was just Friday. Just it's kind of crazy what they can do, right? So typically, $1 billion company is not going to go from 7 to 20, or a $1 trillion company, but a $10 million, $20 million, sub $50 million company, yeah, we can double up on its market cap, right? That's always why we like the smaller companies more, as long as we can pair them with the catalyst with high relative volume. Volume today in comparison to, maybe it's 20 or 30-day average. And then the trade setup. Can we get in on a pullback, like a reversal signal, a breakout entry? As long as we can predefine our risk in advance, we're gonna typically be okay. And then our final play was VERV, our final watch list. So this is a buyout by Ellie and Lilly for 1.3 billion. But you can see they're already trading at $1 billion, which is up substantially. I mean, when this popped, it was probably only 500 or 600 million. And then you get the 1.3 billion buyout offer. The two are going to try to equalize the market cap to the buyout offer. Again, I don't know if there's debt here, so it's not always a perfect equalization. You have to add in those liabilities off the top and what have you. So either way, eyes on it for tomorrow. And not taking any trades after hours, just kind of relaxing off of this morning's success. So I hope you enjoyed a little bit more of an in-depth breakdown here. Not much longer than our first videos, though. I was worried that if we did go more into it, it would be like a 40-minute video, but we still got everything done in 26 minutes. We can take a look at the S&P 500 really quick. Really nice. Like, it gapped up this morning and then chucked up with strength, which is pretty cool. Kind of getting to this buy side liquidity, right, which is scary territory. And then ultimately breaking VWAP, failing to recover, and then bleeding down. After hours was nice, had strength, but then we got the the war tweets here, and down and down we go. So we'll see how tomorrow pans out. And again, thank you all so much for watching. Leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel. If there's any way I can improve for you, let me know. And I hope you enjoy my trading journal. Take care.